Alrighty everyone, welcome back. It is now May 3rd of 2023. We are just a couple of months away actually from the release of the Ahsoka Tano series. Just a little over 3 months from now, we're going to be able to witness Dave Filoni's vision of what Star Wars is supposed to be, and I think the main reason why a lot of fans are looking forward to this one is because every single episode was written completely by Dave Filoni, and this show had zero interference from Kathleen Kennedy. This is Mike Zero. Subscribe if you're new and like this video to see future Star Wars updates. I'm also on Twitter at Mike01. I thank you also very much for the great and kind support. So, there's something very interesting going on with Pedro Pascal. Let's get right into the subject because this has a lot to do with his view of how the fans have been acting and their behavior towards Mando Season 3. By the way, guys, on the record here, I really had a lot of issues with Season 3 of Mando, but knowing that John and Dave were not the actual cause 100%, it really kind of gives you more reassurance about what's coming from Mando 4, because Kathleen Kennedy too will have no influence on that show, so that's worth noting and worth knowing about. But going back here to Pedro Pascal and what he recently had to say about the Star Wars fandom, I think is very much a telltale of how Pedro really is. Again, if you guys have been following me for a while, I'm not the biggest fan of Pedro Pascal as a person, but as an actor, I think he does a solid job on a lot of his work out there, you know, like The Last of Us and providing the voiceover work of Djarin. Go ahead and also check him out in The Equalizer 2. I think he does a fantastic job as a villain. So, moving on. With actor Pedro Pascal getting ready to return for The Mandalorian Season 4, he recently had the opportunity to respond to the entire fandom and stated the following about the fans' behavior. I just think the fans are wrong with their view of the third season. I thought it was a really well-written script and story, and was a near-flawless story of Din and Grogu. Fans will never be happy. That's the hard truth that I can say with full confidence. Everyone needs to really back off on being so judgmental about this season. There was nothing wrong with us focusing a bit more on Bo-Katan, and I notice and see fans having a big problem with a woman being the focus for a while. It's just disgusting and something that is not surprising with the community at all. What did fans expect? We had to save Mandalore, and Bo-Katan was meant to be this leader, so there was no bait and switch, or whatever fans like to call that. It's all nonsense and was never the creator's intention. The fans are completely in the wrong for raising such heavy criticism that has nothing to do with the story. Instead, it's just them pointing fingers at this and that about women and stuff. It's childish, and sometimes I really just wish they would grow up. Now, again, before I get to the next thing that Pedro brings up here is that I believe Pedro's pointers here are really just not seeing the full picture. Obviously, there are big problems with Mando Season 3. Let's be real here. There are moments in Season 3 that work very well. And hey, guys, by the way, if you like Mando Season 3, that's fine, you know, express yourselves below in the comments, you know, what you like about it. But I myself found that I didn't have full interest in the show until maybe episode 7 and the finale. That was it. You know, the past 6 episodes that came before it, I felt like it really was in a standstill. Very stagnant storytelling techniques. You know, I felt like there were way too many monsters coming out of the equation and facing the Mandalorians. It just seemed a little out of place for me, looking at it in comparison to what was done in Season 2 and Season 1, which to me are both masterpieces, by the way. It really captured the philosophy of George Lucas and the style of Star Wars. And look, given that Kathleen Kennedy had a lot of control over the script of Mando Season 3, as it turns out, she wasn't involved in principal photography, and that was the common misconception of her not being involved. She wasn't involved, but she was also involved, is the ultimate, you know, reality here about Mando 3. So, it's unfortunate. I know a lot of you guys are going to agree or disagree with me on this, but Mando Season 3 is a night and day difference, and not in the good way, compared to Season 2. Moving on. So Pedro goes on to elaborate things further by stating the following to the fandom, alright? He goes, I understand that Jon and Dave didn't have full creative control over this one, but I think Kathy did a solid job guiding this season to where it needed to go. I would say it's the best season yet. I just love it so dearly. The backlash over this one reminds me of what happened with Rian Johnson's The Last Jedi. It was an incredible film, and he totally did not deserve the fan criticism at all. I think it's wise for fans to just keep their opinions to themselves, and just stay quiet for a while and let the story work on its own, and see where Lucasfilm takes it from there. That's just how people should behave, I think, because criticism only hurts producers' visions, like Kathy and everyone else involved. So guys, here's the big problem that I have with Pedro, is that he feels that fans should not raise criticism or raise an opinion on things. And that's just freedom of speech, right? That's just what's expected out of fans having an issue or a problem with a product. And yeah, you know what? I think the healthy route to go is to raise your opinions and your criticism, because guess what? That's a thing called feedback, right? If you see the majority of fans are having an issue with something, they have to rely on feedback, because otherwise they're just going to be, repeating the same mistakes over and over again. So I think it was necessary for fans to really speak up, and I'm really glad, by the way, that even Jon and Dave themselves, spoke up and kind of owned, their mistakes that were being forced upon themselves by Kathleen Kennedy. Again, it really makes you wonder exactly how things could have turned out if Kathy did not have a large hand in the script, and why there was such a night and day difference compared to season 2. Really makes you wonder, did Kathleen Kennedy double down on really stripping the core elements from Mando season 3 on purpose? I don't know, who knows? We know that there was a bigger shift of focus to Bo-Katan, and look, that's cool and all, but at the end of the day, they also kind of made Din Djarin somewhat of a clumsy character in some of the episodes, where he was kind of losing his grip on the character that he was meant to be in the Mandalorian series as a whole, right? So it's really a tough thing to pinpoint, obviously, where things were heading, and Pedro Pascal, I believe, just is not putting up valid reasons here, or pointers. Fans obviously have a problem with this for valid reasons. They definitely lost their vision with The Mandalorian, and obviously this has a lot to do with Kathy Kennedy. The fact that he is comparing this to The Last Jedi and Rian Johnson's vision of that movie, and how Rian did not deserve that criticism also, I think speaks volumes. Again, as I stated before earlier, I'm not the biggest fan of Pedro Pascal as a person, from what he spews on social media and stuff like that, and what he has done before in the past. But what I will say is that I do support him as an actor. I think he does a fantastic job in The Last of Us, all of his comedy films, and other movies out there like Equalizer 2. I think he's an amazing actor. I really do believe that. But as a person, he really can be very, harsh or a little too bold toward the fandom like this. So overall, guys, drop a comment below. Fill me in below what you guys have to say about all of this. And if you guys did enjoy the content for today, drop a thumbs up on this video to support the channel, and I will catch you guys next time.